Hey everyone, it's Emily, and today I wanted to do the mid-year book freakout tag. So this has been a tag that's been going around that just looks like so much fun, so I wanted to go ahead and do it and just kind of see where I am with my reading for this year so far. Do a little bit of reflection, and I thought this would be a great way to do that reflection and just think about kind of my favorites, surprises, any disappointments, and things like that. So without further ado, let's get into the questions. But the first question is, what is the best book you've read so far this year? Or your favorite book so far this year? And for that one, I'll have to go with Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I talked about this in my June wrap-up, and it was just a delight. I hopped on this hype train real fast. Read it, I talk more about it in that wrap-up. So the second question is the best sequel that you've read so far this year, and this also comes from my June wrap-up, and that is going to be Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. This was for sure my favorite sequel that I've read so far this year. I'm excited for The Toll to come out on November 5th. That's the third book in this series. This one was just so action-packed and fun and interesting and well-written, and I'm just in love with the characters, and it's just such a fun ride. So, more in my June wrap-up. The third question is, what new release do you want to read this year that has come out that you haven't read so far? So I don't get a ton of new releases, and so when I do get them, it's because I'm super excited about them, and I read them pretty quickly. So most of the new releases that I have are ones that I've already read this year, and so basically I think the one that I'm going to go with on this one is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This is one that's on my list for July. So I'll link my July TBR as well. So I think this is one of the ones that I'm super excited about that I haven't had a chance to get to yet, but that's because I just got it in Fairy Loot, and it's on my TBR for immediately after that. So yeah, Sorcery of Thorns. Fourth question is one that I actually already referred to my answer. So the fourth question is, what is your most anticipated release for this year? And I've already hinted at this, and actually already, not even hinted, I explicitly mentioned it, and that is The Toll by Neal Shusterman, which is the third book in the Arc of the Scythe series. I'm so hyped. So excited. I'm ready. I think that's the one that I'm most excited about for the rest of the year. I mean, there are others that I'm excited about, and I'll make a separate video about some other books that I'm excited about for the rest of the year, but I'm pretty sure that's the one I'm most excited about. So the fifth question is, what books have been your biggest disappointment? And I think these are ones I both read on audio, and I'm going to go with The Mere Wife by Maria Headley. That one, it's a retelling of Beowulf, and I don't actually remember the original story too much, but I had heard good things about it, and I heard that it was a feminist retelling of Beowulf, and I was pretty excited about it, and it just wasn't for me, and I was pretty disappointed about that. I'm also gonna go with Paradise by Toni Morrison, another thing I listened to on audio. Both of these I listened to actually for a feminist book club that I'm a part of, and I'd heard such great things about Toni Morrison's writing, and I loved her writing style. It was pretty lyrical and beautiful. I think I maybe want to try other things by Toni Morrison, and maybe just audio was not the way to go for these books, and maybe that's why, or part of why I didn't like them, but I did not enjoy listening to Paradise, and I just heard such good things about Toni Morrison that I was really disappointed in me not liking it, and hopefully I can try some other things by Toni Morrison that I will love. So the sixth question is, what book has been the most surprising to you? And I think that's going to be Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I didn't really know what to expect. It fit a prompt for the Al Readathon, so I was like, sure, why not? Ready Player One, let's go. And I loved this. I was so engrossed in this story, and I just had so much fun listening to this. I read this on audio for the most part. I read a little bit physically, but mostly on audio, and Will Wheaton narrates it. It's amazing, and I just love this story from start to finish. just loved it. So this is probably my biggest surprise and a very pleasant one. The next question, the 7th question, is what is your new favorite author? And I'm gonna go with either Neil Shusterman, who did the Ark of the Scythe series that I've already mentioned a couple of times. I also am gonna mention Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is the first Taylor Jenkins Reid that I picked up. I really love Daisy Jones and the Six, and I would love to pick up The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So it was really great to read a Taylor Jenkins Reid finally. The next question is your new favorite fictional crush, and I'm once again going to pick up Red, White, and Royal Blue for this one. Henry is probably my new fictional crush. He's just a delight. And super funny and smart and witty. Alex is also just incredibly smart and witty and fun. I love them. So yeah, new fictional crush. So the next question is what is your new favorite character? And I narrowed it down to 2. So I really loved Bree from On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. She is such a dynamic, nuanced, funny, smart, witty character, and she's just such a badass, and she really learns and grows a lot over the course of the story, and I love her. Like, she's not a perfect character, but I want her to be my best friend. Like, she is awesome, and she's definitely going to stick with me for a long time. Another character that's going to stick with me for a long time is Mark Watney from The Martian. His logs were definitely the best part of this book. He, again, is just super snarky. I love snarky characters, and he is so snarky and so witty and smart, and it just, like, my kind of character. Yeah, he is going to stick with me for a long time as well. The 10th question is a book that made you cry, and I don't cry a lot while reading books, but the one I think that came the closest for me was Radium Girls by Kate Moore, and I also read this in June, so if you want more of a description of my thoughts on this book, then head to my June wrap up. But this is a real story about very real women who painted radium on watches to make the dials on watches luminescent. And this was a huge thing back in the 20s, 30s in particular. And oh my God, it was the story of them trying to figure out what was happening to them health-wise when their health started to deteriorate, when they found out that it was radium. It was about their struggle trying to get people to accept that radium was hazardous to your health and try to get the companies to be held accountable because they knew what was going on and just were denying it. And oh my God, this book made me cry because Kate did such a good job describing the excruciating pain that they must have been in and how courageous these women were. And I teared up so hard, especially at the end of the book, as they're going through some of the legal struggles and the relationship between one of these women and her husband is just so beautiful. And oh my God, I definitely teared up. So yeah. The next question is the 11th question is a book that made you happy. And I mean, I've already gushed about some, like obviously Red, White, and Royal Blue made me happy. Ready Player One made me incredibly happy. Just The Martian made me really happy. So like basically most of the books that I've already mentioned were books that also just made me incredibly happy. So those, The 12th question is the most beautiful book you got this year. And this one's really hard because I have so many beautiful, beautiful books that I have been lucky enough to be able to get this year. I think one of them that I should mention definitely is The Priory of the Orange Tree. I haven't read this yet, this behemoth of a book, but oh my God, this cover is stunning. I also really, really love the cover of Sorcery of Thorns. I think this is just absolutely gorgeous. I also really love Girls of Paper and Fire. This is just such a stunning, stunning cover. And the cover of the new one that's coming out on November 5th is so beautiful as well. So definitely this one as well. The last question is, what books are must-reads by the end of the year? And oh my god, all of them. Literally all the books on my shelf. I've turned over the ones that I read, but just all of the books that aren't turned over are ones that I want to get to by the end of the year. But I'll mention a few specific ones. I do really want to get to Priory of the Orange Tree by the end of the year. This is going to be a huge project, but I really want to get to it. I also really, really, really want to get to the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I've heard incredible things about this series, and I also, kind of ties into this one, I also really need to get back into climate fiction and nonfiction. Like, I've got a whole shelf of climate and environmental nonfiction that I want to get to. I also want to dig more into climate fiction. There are starting to be some authors that are really paying attention to how we tell stories about climate change and how important those stories can be for people to actually kind of incorporate that information into their life. So I definitely want to pick up some more climate fiction for the rest of the year, and we'll see, and just, as I said, my environmental nonfiction as well. So yeah, those are some of the things I want to read. So that's this tag. I hope you enjoyed. Have you read any of these books, and what did you think? What are your answers to some of these questions? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'll link those below. And until next time, bye.